So, welcome to Mental Health Monday. My name is Alexander Hardy. I'm going to give it a few more moments for a few folks to come in. Also letting my coffee cool off a little bit. I just wanted to gather here to, I guess, talk a little bit about, trying to check in on self-care. I haven't done Mental Health Monday in maybe a few weeks. And there's been a couple changes. I've kind of been up to some things, and I just wanted to give some updates on kind of where I'm at and how I'm coping and how I'm dealing, and share some resources. I have a couple of awesome folks that are going to join me here shortly. But in the meantime, I just really wanted to check in with everyone. So feel free in the comments to say hello and let me know how would you rate your self-care at the moment on a scale of 1 to 10. I'm just going to post that in the chat here. Okay, so yeah, feel free to chime in and let me know how's your self-care at the moment. I really just wanted to, check in, talk about my self-care. And there's been a lot of changes. There are a lot of new. There's always, every day is a million new updates as far as like the news. So, however you are, choosing to stay connected or not stay connected, that's okay. But I just wanted to, share some resources. I have two lovely colleagues of mine, teammates, Angelica Delacruz and Bianca from Tribe Co-Create. And we're going to be talking about thriving in the age of the Rona with the help of community. And we'll be sharing some resources and talking about what they're doing to cope and get some joy these days. And they'll be sharing just some tools for being greater in the war against spiritual ashiness. So as far as my self-care at the moment, I'm going to give myself about I'm going to say a 7.2345 at the moment. And I'm going to give myself that because I have been doing this thing called napping. I don't know if y'all have heard of it. If you are a person who struggles with resting, who struggles with taking care of yourself and recharging and allowing yourself to get better, to just like step away from the work. I've actually been doing this thing where you actually lay down and listen to your body when it's tired and rest. So that's been interesting, just to, listen to my body and see the results of, wow, if I close my computer or disconnect my phone or, turn off, step away from my to-do list, the world will not end, everything will be okay, and life will still continue. So I've just been listening to my body more, which is why I'm going to give myself like above a 7. I recently left an apartment in the Bronx and I'm in Brooklyn now, so I am feeling much better and lighter automatically just by being in a fresh space, fresh start. And I am thankful that I got up and out and did what I needed to do to move. This situation that I'm in came about in a way that I was not necessarily ready for, or wasn't expecting. But the goal of my season, or the name of my game right now, is to ask for more gravy. So anyone who's watching, feel free, in your daily lives, ask for more gravy, ask for whatever it is you need to be okay. And that's really how I was able to like get into release some of the shame that I had around asking for help, not being where I wanted to be, quote unquote, in life, and just like getting the help and support that I know is out there, that I know is on the other side of, and ask for support, or, getting over the shame that any shame that I may feel. In terms of what I'm doing well, I'm cooking again. I'm in a new space in Brooklyn. It has a really spacious kitchen, lots of sunlight, lots of good breeze coming in. It's really airy. I feel really peaceful here so far. And I'm just thankful that, like I said, the space became available, and I'm able to rest and just transition into, a new stage of life without stress, and being able to be in a peaceful place and wake up in a peaceful place. And so I'm feeling good. What I could be doing better or differently in terms of my self-care, I would say drinking more water. I'm right near a huge park in Williamsburg, and I need to be using that park regularly. And so I want to do that more. I'm going to be cooking my first batch of empanadas tomorrow, and I'm really excited about that. I'm going to do kind of a standard batch of the beef empanadas and trying to get closer to my grandmother's recipe. So I will just be doing a really basic ground beef. I'll probably use my green sauce, and I'm getting closer. The last batch was much better than the first batch, and so I really look forward to a pretty delicious batch of empanadas, um, and taking advantage of the empanada making as a tool for mindfulness. Sometimes I rush through it, and you can always tell in the batch when I was rushing or when I was stressed out. So I really want to take advantage of that as an opportunity to connect and be peaceful and have some fucking calm. So that's what I'm going to be doing this week. Also, hang on one moment. This is my guest. Okay. I've also been teaching some grief and loss trainings, which have been heavy, but a good opportunity to connect with people and to share some resources and bring some levity to what is otherwise a really stressful and uncomfortable time for people. I've been doing some grief and loss trainings for home healthcare workers and CNAs for a union that I teach for, and it's been helping me to de-stress. It's been helping me to have something to focus on. It's been helping me to connect with people even though I'm teaching virtually and I'm used to being in person and like navigating the classroom and making the most of the space in that way. Being in this space has allowed me to still connect with people, still use my abilities in a way that I feel like is able to help in this time when I may be battling with like feeling powerless or like I'm unable to help. And so those trainings have been, it's not quite like a support group environment. We're really just going through the stages of grief in a really light way, not in a light way, but the basics of them, and just allowing people a space to share what they're going through. And it's hard out here. I'm talking to people who are working either in healthcare directly or like on an administrative side, and working with home healthcare aides who have either lost people that they have been working with. A lot of my home healthcare aides, some of the home healthcare aides that I've been working with or speaking to, usually in the mental health first aid capacity, but in these like trauma-informed capacities. Now, sometimes you will have a client that you are working with, could be healthy or not, elderly, maybe dealing with other health ailments, and they are sometimes in a position of having to maybe they lose a client or lose someone that they're working with or have developed a long-term relationship with, or that they have just become really close to and working intimately with someone and seeing them oftentimes at their worst, a connection is going to form. And so some of them will lose a client today and have to be right back to work the next day, or sometimes they're not able to be involved in the family's grieving and mourning process. So really giving people tools and techniques to like navigate some of that stress, even just deal with some of that anxiety, around the uncertainty of this time, reduced hours, things like that, factors that may be out of their direct control. And just giving them an opportunity to feel empowered and leave this session feeling like they have something that will help get them through the week, or get them, help them manage the stress of what they're dealing with before they get to their next client. I'm also this week going to be doing my first trauma-informed training for the same group, and that really just entails helping people grasp the magnitude and the many ways that trauma affects people, not only just in as far as manifesting as sadness or depression, but delayed onset trauma reactions, the way that trauma manifests as, an inability to relax, an inability to feel at ease, an inability to to feel safe in their bodies physically. And so just talking through a lot of those things and what that could look like from a trainer's perspective and what that could look like from not just a classroom perspective, but an administrative perspective. It also goes into some considerations that people who work in the mental health space, maybe on the admin side, may have to keep in mind for their, the people that they're dealing with. So I'll be doing one of those this week, which will be my first one. I've been working in this space, not directly these days, but really supporting a lot of organizations with putting together mental health programming for their employees, whether it be, hosting self-care check-ins for team members on, a given day of the week, just to come and have a chill space to talk about their feelings and what they're going through. And also it could look like researching and developing support groups for staff and community groups, organizations, companies. Interviewing the therapists who could facilitate that group. I've also realized that although I have done some of the work, that grief and loss work, like wading into those deep out in those waters, it may not be my ministry exactly. So I know that I can help in other ways and like connect with people in other ways. But like holding people's hands through that, like it's heavy work. And even in the brief training that I did, the stories that were shared, it was really heavy. So I'm glad that I'm able to support these organizations, and that furthermore, these organizations and community groups are interested in are doing the work, quote unquote, as far as making sure their employees are able to thrive, not just inside work, but outside of work as well, as everybody navigates this time of uncertainty. Last Friday, I was actually on two shows, TK in the AM with TK and Conscious on Bonfire Radio, and they did a check-in with their friends. They checked in with a bunch of awesome people. And so I stopped by there. They called me and I rapped with them for a little bit about self-care and wellness and what I'm up to, how I'm getting some joy, how I'm managing in these ridiculous, raggedy time in history. And also I listened to they did an audio production of the Weeksville Project, which was an audio fiction that they produced with local talent, featuring Aisha Turman as the narrator, TK and Conscious, and a couple other awesome Black folks, telling the story of the Weeksville area of Brooklyn, which was a really popular a thriving, bustling Black community post-slavery and in the Reconstruction era. And so they told a multi-generational story that was really amazing to see and just really encouraging. And I'm just glad that people are being Black and awesome and new and creative ways. And so shout out to TK and Conscious for inviting me to their show. That night, on Juneteenth night, I was on Tea with Queen and Jays with Janicia and Naima's virtual Juneteenth kickback, which was from 9 to 11. And they invited a whole bunch of amazing Black ass people. I think it was like 300 some people in the room on Zoom, on a Black ass Zoom, as they called it. And they're one of my favorite podcasts, and they had some show and tell moments. I did a reading of a piece that I wrote for Food and Wine called How I Got Over Myself and Learned to Make Rice. Yes. And I did a reading, and it was really cool. Really chill, really awesome audience, really good group of people. It was really nice to be in a space where like most of my Zoom use has been in like a teaching capacity or like a facilitating capacity. So it felt really good to just be able to be on a Zoom and be able to relax and just let it all hang out and take my bra off and just be super chill. And so I was on there, and I'll be sharing that. I think I'll check with them when that video will be live. I'm just going to check in and see if my guests, okay, they're going to be coming on in a second here. But that video will be on, I'm going to post their link in the chat. Hey. And I'm going to share that here. And I'm also just going to drop in the link for the piece itself, the Food and Wine piece, in case anyone wants to read that. So let me just check here. All right. So I want to welcome two women who have been really instrumental in my joy journey this year and helping me battle spiritual ashiness out in these raggedy streets in the age of the Rona. And outside of that too, and just like really great people who I think you all really love. I'm really important. I'm really glad to share with the audience. And this whole interview, all of these will be available on YouTube, on social media, and on thealexanderhardy.com tomorrow. But my first guest is Bianca Shaw. She is a queer Black femme from the Bronx, New York, by way of Antigua. For nearly a decade, Bianca has worked in various fields, including mental health, harm reduction, juvenile justice, and child welfare advocacy. As a licensed macro social worker, she has dedicated her career to amplifying the voices and power of marginalized communities. And as an abolitionist, and believer in radical reimagination, she has also led organizations through change processes to address the ways in which nonprofits continue to perpetuate oppression and harm on different disenfranchised communities of color, because those are some harm-inducing ass places. And shout out to you, Bianca. Bianca is dedicated to the healing, capacity building, and leadership development of Black, Indigenous, people of color, and QT by POC. After recognizing that traditional workspaces cause mental, physical, and financial harm on many of us, Bianca co-founded Tribe Co-Create in 2018, in the year of our Janet Jackson. Tribe is a community healing and liberation space. Tribe's vision is to create a community that is built on the values of collective wisdom and collective care, which I adore. Bianca received her Master of Social Work degree with a focus on community organizing, planning, and development from Silberman School of Social Work at Hunter College in 2016. She's currently training to become a level 3 Reiki practitioner. Joining Bianca is my other sister friend, Angelica, she, her, hers, by the way, fellow Tribe Co-Create co-founder and worker owner. She is an Afro-Latina womanist from the Bronx, born in the Dominican Republica. She migrated to Hunts Point community at the age of 5. As someone who believes that community is a form of resistance and care, Angelica's mission is to cultivate joy-filled spaces and that encourage connection and collaboración. She achieves this by developing and leading programs and events at Tribe. In the words of Alice Walker, Angelica believes that we should all look closely at the present you are constructing. It should look like the future you are dreaming of, which I love. You got to be that motherfucking change in the world.
Change, honey.
So please unmute yourselves and join me in the dancery. Angelica and Bianca.
Hi.
Hey y'all.
Hey y'all.
Hey Alex. Thank you for having us.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I can't hear you.
Oh no. Wait. Can you hear us? We hear. We hear you.
It's me.
It's
It's
you.
You can hear me. Hold on.
Yeah.
Hello?
Can you hear us?
God
Can you
dang
hear
it.
us
No, I
now?
can't.
Oh no. Audience, let us know if you can hear us.
Let's see. Let me stop my video. Let me restart. Hello, hello?
Hello.
Hello.
Damn.
Oh,
Okay.
that's you.
Maybe we should leave and come
Okay.
back.
Are you,
We're
can
gonna-
you,
We're gonna leave and come back.
okay, yes. While Angelica and Bianca reverse and come back in to this situation, I am just going to share, let me come over here. I did want to share just a quick congratulations to my brother Danye on his Antonio Award for 1 and 2. It's the first and the inaugural ceremony by Broadway Black. Shout out to Drew Shade. Johnny won the Langston Hughes Award for a gorgeous play that he produced called 1 and 2. And I just wanted to shout Danye out. If you haven't, he did a live streaming on Playbill, and I'm gonna have to double check and see if it's still live, but shout out to Danye, send him some love if you know him. And let's see if we got any luck going on here. Hello, hello.
Can you hear us?
No, I can't hear you.
We're gonna change computers.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. While I continue that, while they log out and log back in again, I did want to share a few other things that brought me joy. So the first thing was Johnny winning his the Langston Hughes Award for 1 and 2. The second thing is the new Disclosure documentary on Netflix, which is an in-depth look at Hollywood's depiction of transgendered folks in the media and their impact of stories on transgender lives in American culture. I learned so much from the Disclosure documentary, and it was really good to see Laverne Cox, Angelica Ross, and really like veterans from non-Black folks as well, just really telling the story of transgender folks in the media. And the underscoring thing was that they've always been there, they've always going to be here, and that they're just a part of culture. That the lack of representation, they really explore how the lack of representation can have just physical, just mental, emotional damage as far as self-esteem and just the way that they view themselves, transgender individuals. So shout out to everyone who was involved in the documentary. I thought it was really well done. It was well edited. I thought that the way it was both historical and entertaining. I learned a whole lot. I actually have a long list of movies and documentaries that I want to get into. There are a lot of transgender characters that they pointed out that have been part of like major moments that I didn't even know were transgender. And so they had some of those people and people, you know, affected and influenced by those stories as a part of the documentary. So I'm really thankful for Laverne Cox and everyone else who was involved in that. The other thing that's bringing me joy, and I'm going to share it in the chat here, is Coleman Domingo's. There is it's a show that he does on YouTube. It's Bottomless Brunch at Coleman's, and there is a most recent episode with Anika Noni Rose and Jay Ellis from Insecure, and I think it's hosted on AMC, where Coleman is part of, I want to say, The Walking Dead or some show on AMC, and I'm going to share it here. And it was just really good to see him just being Coleman Domingo, Black and beautiful, and with Jay and Anika.
Can you hear us?
And it was a really good interview, and I just shared it there, and it was just. They make drinks, they make breakfast together, they talk about what they make. He sends them the drink mixtures to all make the same, so they can all make the same drink, and they make it together at the same time, and then they taste it together, and they talk about like what they're eating and stuff like that. So I think it's just beautiful to see. I love when Black people get together and talk about food. They also talked about their work and, you know, their self-care and other things like that. So I thought that was a really good broadcast. Let me just double check with Angelica and Bianca. So I just shared that there. So again, it's called Bottomless Brunch at Coleman's. The other thing I wanted to share is I've been doing some genealogy digging, and I don't know if any of you have ever done any digging in dirt with genealogy, and it can be pretty obsessive. Like once you know, if you know some names, if you know some birth dates, if you know where your people are from, if you uncover some things, you can find yourself stuck in that rabbit hole and just like just struggling and to like break away and to distract yourself and not stay stuck in that place. But for me, I dug some digging with my family, and I found some information about my people in South Carolina and some of their roots and some of the ancestry there. And I was able to find out that one of my great-great-great-grandfather, sir, lived in South Carolina, was born in North Carolina, and was his owner's. He wound up fighting in the Civil War for the Union soldiers. He got a pension, and somebody gave me some like tips about how to like go and dig in the archives and like get his whole like military record and like find just all this thing about him. I found out he's 5'5", so he probably had, was carrying a gun and had big attitude because he was, miniature. And it was really good to like learn those names and connect the dots that and hear some of the stories that we've been hearing all this time. So I'm thankful for Ancestry.com's free trial. I also found out that FamilySearch.org has the exact same shit and then some, but for free. So I'm about to cancel my Ancestry.com trial because fuck y'all. And I'm gonna move on over to Family Search and just get all my information for free. So
Alex, we're
gonna try this one more time with Angelica. Hello.
Can you hear us?
Apparently people in the who are watching can hear you.
Okay.
So
That's weird.
I don't know how to do. I don't know. I'm thinking of how to.
Yeah, because how we gonna talk if you can?
Let me see if I can get in on my. Hold on. Sorry, this is stupid.
Hey y'all.
The internet is still racist.
They don't want to. They don't want us to
They don't want us to talk about the food.
No.
But we gonna make it.
Let's see.
Hello?
Can you hear?
Yes.
Woo! Okay. It's gonna have a little bit of echo. So one of your things are gonna have to mute.
Can you? How about now?
Okay, that's perfect.
Hold on, let me do this.
Look at Black people, always innovating, always making it work.
Okay, how is this?
Yes, we get double of you.
Hey y'all, thank you. I'm sorry. Thank you for bearing with me. I'm so glad that we finally got to get on here and just chat and be Black and beautiful together. So I gave you a little fancy intro and everything. So like, just tell me, like, how are you doing? How are y'all doing, like, today in this moment?
In this moment, I'm feeling really joyful. Actually, I've been having a lot of wins lately. Financially and spiritually. So I'm feeling really, really grounded. I had, some exchange of energies this past weekend with some folks that I love and some family.
Does that mean like a link up?
A little picnic, just a little.
Okay.
And I'm feeling refreshed and renewed. So I'm feeling really great this week. Actually, it's the start of the week, which is amazing.
Good.
Yeah.
That's a good way to lead into the week, I think.
Yes, and I'm gonna.
Because who knows what's gonna happen when we wake up tomorrow?
Yeah, it's gonna be the same thing. It's gonna be the same thing. I'm putting it out there. I'm putting it in the universe.
Ashe.
Yes.
I'm also feeling really good. I had a weekend of restoration and healing, and I just had some time to like reflect, which is like real. It was a real thing, right? Like just having time to be like, what have I been doing? What have I been working on? So I liberated some of my time. I took it back. And I just was able to reflect on all the things that I've been able to get done in the last month. Just like checking off. And really not seeing things as a to-do list, but also really recognizing my own growth in a short amount of time. So today was really all about like, how do I keep going? But not in a push through kind of way. I was very intentional about that. I was like, I don't want to push through. I don't want to have a to-do list. I really want to be intentional about what gets to take my energy. So I've been reclaiming that and I feel good.
I think the word of the week is reflect.
Yeah.
The word of the week is reflect. I was reflecting with my therapist yesterday.
Yes. Hey, therapist.
Reflect is the word.
Shout out to the therapist.
Yeah.
Listen, I hope to confirm my situation with the potential therapist this week. I'm excited about that. I've been connecting mad people to therapy and have not been connecting myself. So we're gonna change that.
We're not gonna coach you right now, Alex, but congratulations.
Because I know what you're gonna say. So thank you. Thank you. I received that. So tell me about, with Tribe Co-Create and the people that you're working with and the community that you're connected to. I feel like for me, this is a time of innovation and creativity. Like, yes, shit sucks, things are terrible. Like, nothing is as we expect it to be going right now. But like, what are some of the good things that you're seeing in your community as far as like how people are thriving, or like what you or like the folks that, what y'all are doing to, what's working for you all right now?
I can start.
In terms of like creating and just making magic and keeping it together out here.
Yeah, so first, before I answer that, I just want to say that we really started Tribe with the idea that we don't have enough time as Black people, as femmes, as queer folks, that we are always giving away our energy.
Should we tell people what Tribe is?
Oh yeah, I'll start with telling people what Tribe is. So Tribe is a healing and liberation space in the Bronx that centers the experiences, the needs of Black, Indigenous people of color, specifically queer and trans folks, because queer folks, Black folks, femmes, gender nonconforming people are always giving away our time, our labor, our love, and joy. Often for things that either do not serve us or don't nourish us back. There is no reciprocity.
Message.
So we really created this space really with the intention at the beginning of like, fuck these jobs. We don't want to work in these nonprofits.
That is my saying.
That's Angelica's like mantra.
Fuck these jobs.
Yes. Fuck these jobs that don't serve us. But really, as I've been reflecting more and more, it's really this idea about how white supremacy really takes up our time. And when it takes up so much of our time, we don't have the space to be creative, right? We don't have the space to really go for joy.
I wish I had a tambourine.
or to center our healing. So what we have been seeing in the last couple of months is that folks have really been taking this time to reflect on themselves, to really think about what community care looks like, to do things that they have never done before. Like I drew a whole thing the other day. I was like, I'm doing art? Like, what is this? I ain't never pulled out these color pencils that I got as a Christmas gift in 2015.
The kick and pop them in the ass, okay?
So I think, yeah, people are being much more creative. They're doing things that are centering themselves, and it all don't gotta be big. It all don't gotta be the next business or the next whatever. It's really just like, how do I take back some time for myself
in the moment right
now?
In
this moment, and what does that look like? Because all of that is a radical act. So that's what we're seeing. We're seeing so many people think about joy. Really thinking about what it means for us to access joy, because that feels like hard sometimes. And to do that in community with other people, to really have honest conversations about what that looks like.
Yeah, and also to like put themselves first right now, right? Because sometimes, like, you know, been out here helping the people and you're not really helping yourself. You know, so that's another message. But it's really important right now. We're seeing that a lot, that people are really actually taking the time to actually, you know, a lot of people talk about like self-care. Yeah, self-care, but people are actually putting that into practice right now. And that's like really
good. Yeah, absolutely.
It took me months to allow myself to take a nap. Like when this whole thing started during our leadership journey, like it hit me. It was like a brick wall, like, but like, and so I'm glad that I'm napping. I hate that it feels revolutionary. Like, you mean if you lay down and rest, your body will feel better? Wow, like, is that how it works? Okay, and what I've been telling people who especially have been dealing with like powerlessness, especially when like protests were like really getting it popping out here, who are dealing with like, how do I contribute to this moment right now? My advice is that, yes, anything you do is great right now, but your number one job is to survive, especially as Black and brown folks, like, because it's clear that they do not want us to survive and thrive out here. And, you know, you look at how quickly nurses and frontline people struggling versus how quickly they're militarized. And so seeing all of that, it's clear, like, your survival, and there's many people, you know, wonderful, brilliant people who've talked about joy and survival like as resistance. Like, survive as best you can right now. You know what I'm saying? So if that means rest, if that means disconnecting, if that means turning on do not disturb, if that means, you know, like painting, coloring, you know, folk paint, like whatever you take for you to thrive and be okay in this world, I think that's beautiful.
Yeah, it's crazy you talk about do not disturb, because for a long time I was afraid to put my phone on do not disturb, right? So be like, oof, no, I'm gonna miss out on something, something's gonna happen. No, I can't put my phone on do not disturb. And I was never really like taking peaceful naps, right? Or peaceful sleep. Child, and Rona hit. And I'm like, okay, this is not serving me. I can't be answering the phone the way that I do. Like every time an alarm, you know, a little alarm comes off, I'm like, oh, okay, I gotta answer my phone. It's like, no, I'm actually gonna put my phone on do not disturb for this hour or 2 or 3 or maybe 8, and I'm just gonna sleep. I'm gonna nap it out, and that's really important. That's really important to really recognize that, like, it's okay for you to like not answer the phone. It's okay for you to put your phone on do not disturb and actually allow yourself to get that like interrupted sleep and rest.
What shifted for you? Because I mean, knowing you and as a helper and as a supporter, what was that shift that gave you permission to like, okay, if I turn my phone off, the world is not gonna, like, in terms of, I know we're all supportive people here, and I know a lot of people who are watching are like, they are the you know, the doer, the caregiver. What was that for both of you? I mean, if you've both had this struggle in terms of like, how do you work on centering yourself?
Well, I'll answer the first question, like, what was the shift? It was my body. Like, my body was telling me, I was feeling like really fatigued and really tired, and like, you know, just my anxiety was on another level, that I had to like up my anxiety medication. I was just like, where is this actually coming from? Like, what's happening? And I actually sat down one day, like wrote a list of things that, you know, wasn't really serving me, and like things, you know, like even my alarm, just the way my alarm, I used to wake up with like a you know, I'm like, this ain't serving me either. Like I need to wake up to birds chirping in my ear, you know, like, you know, and that just really paying attention to my body and being like, okay, what's going on? What's causing all of this? Was the moment that I was just like, oh, this is what's going on. Like you're out here just serving the world and doing the things for the world and not really taking care of yourself. Like the world is going to keep moving if you're not there, right? If you're not available in the moment, you know, like you can't be afraid to like step back and allow somebody else to step up.
Yeah, and I want to say for me, that is like something that I'm always in practice of taking steps back and not feeling like I have to constantly be working or tending to or caring for someone, whether that's like a personal relationship or a job. And when it really hit me, honestly, is when like all the protests started happening. Going back to your question, Alex, of like, what is my contribution to what's happening in the world? Can I really be out on the street? Maybe, but I'm also someone who lives with chronic pain, so I'm not gonna be on the street every day, right? And like, what does it look like for me to be in this movement, in this revolution for the long run? Like, what's sustainable for me? So then it comes into question with like, well, how am I taking care of myself first? Right? Like we are talking about how to protect Black bodies, how to keep Black bodies safe, how to honor them. And I think sometimes we're always thinking about that as an outward thing. Like, how do we do this in the long run? How do we protect another person from dying? And also, like, how do you protect yourself from not doing that too?
Yeah.
Because stress will kill you, right? Not taking care of your body will kill you. And it's not about shaming, about people's choices, but it's also about like, how do we be intentional? So if I'm going to rest, am I doing that because I'm super drained? Am I doing it because I need to unplug from all the things that I want to deal with? Or am I taking an intentional nap? Am I intentional about the things that I put into my body? Am I intentional about the things that I'm learning right now? And so those are the conversations that I've been having with myself about what does nourishment look like for me so that I can continue to nourish the movement, because that's how I show up. As a supporter, as a nourisher, as a helper. I might not be on the front line, but I'm educating folks. I'm talking about herbs now. I'm talking about healing. That's my nourishment for people.
Right.
And so that has to be within me first. Because if it's not aligned, I'm not authentic. I'm not being in integrity. So I got to do this Black body first.
Yeah. And also giving yourself grace that the days that you don't nourish your body, that's okay too. You know, like really being in integrity with that and like not beating yourself up. Like, oh my God, today I didn't take this. Oh my, it's okay. It's okay if you didn't act today, right? Absolutely. It's okay, but just remember that like you can reset again the next day,
absolutely,
hour or the next minute. You can always reset.
Yeah.
What's bringing you all joy right now?
Okay, so I have been watching, this was like my inner child stuff. I have been watching a lot of Ricky Lake.
Yes.
I have been watching, and let me play out Ricky
classic television.
Problematic as
as hell. It's super problematic.
As fuck, but I love it. And I am not ashamed. I have been watching so much Ricky Lake, and I'm like, first of all, where the hell was my mama? Because
it's problematic. My mama gonna let me watch.
And also, I want to say that it's a true testament that no matter all the junk that you see on TV, you can still change your mind, because if
you can still turn around.
All those lessons from Ricky Lake, I would have been a problematic ass person, but here I am.
You would have been a white Bianca, child. Yes. You would have been the white.
But Bianca, yes, Ricky Lake and her white ass has been bringing me so much.
I yes. For me, so I'm like literally a gatherer of my people, right? Like I love to be in community with people, with my family, with my friends. So what's bringing me joy right now is actually like, you know, it's like hot outside, it's getting hot, and you know, Rona is real, but being responsible and actually being around my people and just exchanging those energies. This weekend we had a picnic, and I had my 4-month-old nephew. You know, he brings me the most joy right now. He spent 2 days with me, and having a little picnic with him and you know, some close friends was the highlight of my 4 months. It was so amazing just to feel the grass on my feet, and I was just like, wow, grass is real.
Remember grass? Wow.
Like, wow, I feel grass again. And that's bringing me a lot of joy, just the fresh air and literally grass between my toes.
Yeah.
And a lot of water with lemon.
Oh, okay. So you both talked about, I know you both been doing some nutritional journeying.
Yeah.
How is that helping you all right now? How is like focusing, or what has that journey been like for you? And what have, if you feel like sharing some of your positive outcomes with like focusing on your body.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait, no, can I go first?
Yeah,
Real quick. Okay. So I'm like really excited that you asked this, because for a long time I've been in like a constant battle with my body. Like, oh my God, I need to release this weight, and I just don't feel my best. And like, I just been feeling like really sluggish, and just not really loving my body to the full extent, right? So lately, for the past month, I'm gonna say, for like the past month, I've been working out 4 days a week. I recommitted back to therapy. I've been, I released like sugar and carbs out of my diet, out of my lifestyle, and it's just been after I did that, I just have more clarity. Like, my anxiety is down a lot. I've recommitted to yoga again. And having my workout buddy Noah, just helping me be accountable to like really sticking to that routine. It's been really a life changer for me. Again, like, I just have more clarity on things, and adding fitness and with like therapy, combining those two together has been, wow, has just been mind-boggling. It's been really great.
So I just actually completed a 9-day cleanse. And it's a cleanse that's led by a person called Heidi Maria Lopez.
Yes, shout out to Heidi.
And what I really appreciated about the cleanse, this was my first time ever doing something like that.
Okay.
But in my own personal practice and my own values, I'm always asking myself, like, how will I disrupt white supremacy, racism, and fat phobia every single day?
Yes.
Because if I don't think about how to disrupt those things, they will infiltrate my mind. So what I appreciated about this cleanse, that it wasn't a cleanse specifically around food. Obviously, that was a portion of it, but it also included, now that you are releasing foods, now that you are releasing carbs and sugar and nuts and cheese and dairy, basically everything, y'all, all the things. Asking questions about, so how do you nourish yourself? What is your source? How are you going to connect to source? Whether that's God or the universe or talking to plants or napping or reading, how are you intentionally connecting to source? How are you moving your body? How are you being in community? And at first I was just like, wait, I thought I was just gonna do this cleanse and that was it. But now that I've completed it, those sources, those other parts of it have really been the thing to like nourish me, and to really feed my soul, and have really put me into like a spiritual practice for the first time, that I'm like talking to my body. I'm like, wow, thank you. Thank you for all the things that you have gotten me through. Thank you for the ways that you have chosen to survive when I didn't want to. Right. You are still here. And that was like the first time ever.
So nice big body too, huh?
Yes. And and I'm still not trying to be slim. Like, that's not my thing.
That's right.
I'm cleansing, I'm releasing things that I've held onto for so long that are much bigger than weight. Like, right. Internalized shit is much bigger than weight. Absolutely. And that will hold me down much more than weight will. So I'm really in the practice of that right now. Like, what am I releasing that doesn't come from me? That comes from external messages that I've heard from family and society, to every single way that I've turned ever in life. How do I release those things? So yeah, that's where I'm at right now.
I love that. Fat phobia and white supremacy, that shit is insidious as fuck. It will infiltrate your whole shit and just ruin everything you got going on. Like, that's such a really important journey and a realization to make. Just to know that, like, the extent to which those things, even as you try to, fight the good fight and be righteous and stuff, like, those things can rule your it can rule you and like, you know, really fuck your direction up. So yeah, I love that journey. And also that, especially that it's not for the sake of being skinny. You know, like it's not to that end. It's really to connect with and really tap into and release and process all the things that you have going on. Angelica, you mentioned therapy. I love therapy. I love talking to people about therapy. If you mind sharing, there are a lot of people who right now are looking. I'm actually connecting a lot of people to therapy right now, or if both of you are open to talking about just the healing journey right now. What do you say are some things that you have learned about yourselves in your recent healing journeys?
Oh, baby. How much time we got?
What's some things that you think like will like really like put you on a path to go where the fuck you need to go?
Yeah.
Oof. Yeah. I would say, so first let me say that finding a therapist for me was a journey. Like Bianca could attest to that. It has not been pretty. It was times I was like, I just give up on therapy. This shit ain't for me. Like, who are these people? Where are the real therapists? Like, what's going on? Like, right? Like, for real. No, for real. I had
Talk to me about how you went about trying to find a therapist.
How did I go about it? You know, first, like, you know, it was clinical. My doctor sent me to a therapist who was literally, it was so clinical. They was just asking me questions on a computer. They wasn't even being interactive. So I went through a bunch of those, and I realized like, well, that's not going to work for me. And then I went to a couple friends and I was like, hey, do you guys recommend therapy? You know, any therapists? They did, and they didn't work for me. And then Bianca, where she goes, she's like, oh, I really love my therapist. I really love this place. And I was like, all right, let me give it a try. So I started off with one therapist there, didn't work for me. I started with the second one, didn't work for me, and 3 times the charm. I actually found my mate. And
it's like dating.
Yeah, no, it really is. It really is like dating, and you have the choice to be like, well, you're not the one for me, right? You're not the person for me. You're not who I see my life with. We gotta go because this is for life now. This is for life. I'm in this for life. So it was a real journey for me to really find a therapist. But what I realized about myself is that I cannot be out here talking to other people about like their healing, right? Or like, oh, you have to, and their trauma and the ways things show up for them when I'm not doing that for myself. You know, a lot of my trauma really comes from like mama, you know, like a lot of mother trauma. And I cannot be out here doing this community work and not taking care of myself first and not realizing, you know, how I'm showing up, not only for like community, but for myself as well.
Yeah.
So that was really important for me to take that step and actually commit to finding that right person for me, and to help me with this journey. And I'm actually really glad that I've been through all of this, you know, I'm glad of the journey that led me through here, that led me to like this moment right now where I'm at right now. So I'm really grateful for therapy. I didn't recommend it before, but I recommend it now.
Funny how that works out.
No, it really is. And this is for me, this is for life. Like again, therapy is like, finding a good therapist is really like dating. Like it's a process, but trust the process. And I trusted the process, and I'm proud of myself for that, for sticking through it.
Oh, proud of you. Yeah. Thank you.
Ew.
Child's gonna give up.
Yeah, I have been dating my therapist for like 2 years now. So we have a long-term relationship and it's going swell. Yeah, before that I had one other therapist who was a white woman, and so I don't have to say much about that. And I actually was just like, I don't think I'm gonna do therapy again. It was helpful in some ways, but also she was low-key racist. But then I found a therapy place actually that's all queer people of color. So I was like, oh yes, this is for me. And yeah, it's been going really well. And what I really appreciate about my therapist is that conversations are not just rooted in like what's coming up for me personally, but we talk about like oppression. We talk about like the burden that is placed on like Black femmes, right? And how like I internalize all of that stuff. So, you know,
That matters.
have those critical conversations, I'm like, yes, you are it. Definitely. So I had to check their values first. And foremost. And then also, yeah, it has to be someone that I feel comfortable with, that I can be my true self with. Yeah, and I think therapy has helped me discover all the ways, again, that I have like internalized oppression and have like continued to oppress myself in just the ways that like I operate, in the messages that I tell myself, in the ways that I don't honor my own true desires, in the ways that like I'm addicted to suffering and like wanting to continue to do things that I know I don't want to do. I'm like, why the fuck am I doing this? But we do that, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
has helped me really like come into myself, like really understand like what is my desires, what are my needs, what are my wants, and how can I be my most authentic self. And that is a continuous practice. And I also want to say that therapy has also made it okay for me to explore healing in other ways. Right? So like as I'm continuing to discover myself through this relationship, I'm discovering that there's other things about me that I haven't nourished at all. Like painting. I don't consider myself to be an artist at all, but I love to get my hands dirty. And that's therapeutic, right?
Yep.
Like I discovered that like actually I've been like dreaming about plants and earth medicine before I even knew that was a thing. And so it gave me the permission to like explore that. I'm really identify as someone who like has healing energy and loves to hold space for people. And so now I'm exploring Reiki. But all of those like discoveries about myself happened through constant conversation, constant reflection in therapy.
Yes.
Could you all, what would be some things that have been challenging about the therapeutic process for y'all?
Telling the truth.
Yes. Sitting with yeah, that's real. Telling the truth and sitting with it and reflecting on it, and like actually sitting with yourself, those, you know, by yourself, and like talking to yourself, like, hey girl, this really came up for you. Like, this is how you've been showing up in the world. What?
Yes,
that is the hardest part. But once you get past that and push through that, it is the most liberating feeling that anyone can ever feel. Like actually just like all these realizations, all these what is it called, revelations, like oh my god,
epiphanies.
Woof.
Yeah, my therapist used to say to me like, did you leave these feelings here last week? Pick this up. You left your bag. I need you to come. Damn. Oh shit, yeah, I haven't thought about that. I literally would like have these whole breakdowns, like these whole breakthroughs, and then walk out and be like, oh, I'm good. Like, let me shimmy throughout my day. And he was like, no, ma'am. Like, that's not what you're gonna do.
That's not, yeah.
Yeah, that's that. We can't do that, right? Like, you can't focus on yourself for 45 minutes out of the week, because then what are you doing the rest of the time?
Yeah. So what I do, it's really great that you say that, because what I do now, right after each session, is actually journal. And I journal and I write out everything that came up for me that day and came up for me in that session. And it's been really helpful, because throughout the week I go back and I look at it and I'm like, okay, this came up for me. Is this still showing up for you right now in this moment? Like, what do you need in this moment? So I really go back to that and reflect with throughout the whole week. And new shit just be coming up, and I'm like, okay, now I'm talk about next week. And I actually look forward to like my Sunday mornings. I set my alarm. I'm like, okay, it's time.
Yeah, you both make really good points. That one, it should feel like work. Like, it shouldn't be like, woof, like, it's not about the congratulatory, like, yes, celebrate that you went to therapy. Yes, it's great, it's big, shout out to you. But that is not the end. Like, going in there and crying, that shit may suck, but that's not the end. That's actually the beginning. And so, like what you said, Bianca, about how she said, like, you know, did you leave this here? Like, not leaving the office, leaving all those things that come up for you, don't leave them in the office, like, take them with you. And like Angelica said, process them, write them out, paint it out, cook it out, fuck it out, whatever, like, however you get it out.
All of that, actually.
What you got to do, like, sing it out, draw it out, like literally, like you got to do, think about it, like you said, think about things that you may have to, okay, maybe I want to ask them about this next week. Maybe we can go into this next week, like really it's a collaborative process. So thank both of you for bringing that up.
And then pop one out and cry, and then shit, wake up and feel better.
Yeah. You literally, yeah, like the day, in addition to giving myself permission to nap, when I gave myself permission to cry, I felt so much lighter. Like it was just like, because I had been holding it in for months, and I was on the verge of tears, I felt like, for months. But when I let that thing out, woo, like it just helped.
I'm a natural crybaby because I'm a Cancer. So holding tears back does not work for me. And trust me, mind your business, Bianca. She's a robot over here. And so for me, right, robots. So for me, like you said, Alex, like giving yourself permission to let it out and finding that therapist to actually give you that space to, and then allows you to be that vulnerable and do that is freaking key.
Yeah,
it is.
That's a word.
It is. And it's not, contrary to popular belief, weakness or being less than. It's, I just think there's so much strength and vulnerability. And then telling the truth and then being able to sit with it and face yourself and all that other uncomfortable stuff. Like, it's so great.
With your therapist, you have a problem.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing is that, like, if you can't be honest with, like, as all of us walk around as like strong Black men and women, one thing I love about therapy is that, like, I mean, you can be radically honest with everybody, but like, if you can't be honest with nobody else and you got to wear the mask and do the superhero cape everywhere else, at least your therapist is an opportunity for you to just like take that bra off, take that superhero cape off, like let it hang, like, because if not, you're doing yourself a disservice. You're doing yourself a disservice if you go in there, you're not ready to tell the truth. Yeah. Because you're only cheating yourself. So yeah, thank y'all for your vulnerability. As far as that. And so you also talked about like healing happening in other ways. So like the within the folks that you work with, as far as tribe co-create, within yourself, within your personal networks. If you had to offer some suggestions for people how to thrive right now, especially in the creative or community capacity, what would you, or if there were like one or two things, for me, I'll say like collaboration has been getting me through, but also like, leaning into technology. Like writing is a really solitary experience for me mostly, but I've been doing it with people, getting on Zoom, things like that. So I say, like, for me, not only what you both said as far as allowing myself to rest, but just trying to be as creative as possible. I think that is what has been, and just like to reimagine things, the way, and
not being afraid to take that leap and actually do the thing that you really want to do.
Yeah.
Right. Like not being afraid to like just jump in the middle.
Yeah. I'm really sitting with that. Like something I heard a week ago was like, healing only happens in community. And as someone who really loves time alone, I'm like, oh, that feels hard. I don't want to do that. That feels like a lot. But it's true, right? And like that community can look like so many things. It doesn't always have to be a large gathering of folks, right? But it's about like practicing vulnerability with the people who are closest to you. Even if it's just like, today I feel really anxious. That's healing, because that's a truth that I wouldn't normally tell you, but now I'm telling you, right?
True.
If I want to work on a project, doing that as a co-working session and just being like, I want other people around, or like leaning onto folks and like letting folks know how you're doing or what you're working on, or just affirming people, or whatever it can look like, has been something that like I'm practicing in small ways, because I also know myself, and like too much is too much. It looks very different. And also what Angelica said of just like, this is the time to do the things that you've always wanted to do. Like there's so much access to things. I went to like a Black queer art crafting class last week. I did like a hood herbalism class the next day. Like there's just so many things.
And on that,
and that's fine too. But like be in exploration, have fun. Like there's so much access right now, and it's so low stakes. Like you can just jump and learn something and be curious. And that is like how we're going to get to our imagination and reimagining our worlds, right? Like we have to be playfully imaginative and not take that thing so seriously, because we're already dealing with so much heavy shit.
Yeah. And I want to really say something with that, Bianca, is that, so I'll be like real vulnerable with you guys right now. So something that came up for me in therapy this week was that I've really been living my life in fear of like, oh, if I do it and if I fail, then what? Like, oh no, I don't want to fail, so I'm not gonna do that. No. And releasing that fear has, like, one thing on my bucket list always was like taking a cross country trip, and releasing that fear of like, oh my God, it's cross country, that's a lot, oh my goodness, like what ifs, like what's gonna happen. I'm taking my cross country trip, right?
Yes, you are.
I'm taking my cross country trip, and I just lost my whole thought of,
that's it.
yeah, that's it.
Period.
Don't live in period. Don't live in fear, right? Like you said,
Willie. Willie's watching.
Right. Yeah, hi Willie. Willie's my babe. You know, right now is the time, like you said, to explore, and yes, COVID is real, but let's be responsible, right? Mm-hmm. We could be responsible and also have fun and also imagine and also explore. So don't live in fear. Really, just like, for me, I'm always thinking of like, I'm happy right now. Why am I happy? Mm-hmm. Do I deserve to be happy? Mm-hmm. What's going on? How long is this happiness gonna last, child? Nope, hold on. And actually just sitting with like, hey, bitch, you actually just happy.
You happy. And it's okay.
And that's okay. Just enjoy the ride. Again, giving yourself grace and allowing yourself to have all of these great things is really amazing right now.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah. Joy can feel hard, but it's our birthright.
It is our birthright.
Listen. Yes. Speaking of joy, before I let you go, I want to share something that has been bringing me so much joy, and I want us to talk about it briefly after, okay? Please let me know if you can see my screen.
I can. Yes! Baby, he read them to filth, okay? I love it.
Right. Also so I hope you can hear let me know if you can hear the sound and all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
I want to share something that has been so much joy. Hold on. Talk about it briefly after, okay? Please let me know if you can see my screen. Oop, I have double audio going.
Yes! He read them to filth, okay?
Okay.
I love it.
Right. So I hope you can hear my. Let me know if you can hear the sound. Why is I hearing myself twice? Okay, can you hear this? Hold on.
Intended to get up here and talk about how racist Robert E. Lee was. But I'm talk about you.
Can you hear that? Okay. Hold on, I'm sorry, I have double audio on my end. I'm sorry. Okay, there we go. Here we go.
Next. So I had intended to get up here and talk about how racist Robert E. Lee was, but I'm gonna talk about you, Connie. Sitting over there shopping while we talking about Robert E. Lee. This is a picture of you shopping while we talking about racism and history in this country. Only white members of this board got up while we were up here talking too, because you don't give a damn, and it's clear. But I'm gonna tell you what the slaves, my ancestors, said about Robert E. Lee, since you don't know history, sister. Let me tell you that they said when he got the plantation, after he got off the field with 27,000 people dying at Gettysburg, Connie, Robert E. Lee was a brutal slave master. Not only did when he whooped the slave, he said, lay it on them hard. After he said, lay it on them hard, he said, put wine on them so to burn. That's what Robert E. Lee did. And you set your arrogant self in here and sit on there shopping while the pain and the hurt of the people of this community is on display, because you don't give a damn and you should resign. You should have resigned 2 years ago when you choked the white man in his house. You should have resigned 2 weeks ago when you got on TV and said foolishness. And you should walk out of here and resign and never come back, because you are the example of racism in this community. You are horrible. Okay. Now to the rest of the board. You have an obligation to the people of this community. And 81% of them are Black. And do you need a Klan rally outside, Mr. Godet, before you end it? Because holding it up means that you put that building in jeopardy. You do, sir. Because all over the country, they're burning stuff down. And Black folks in this city have stood with protesters. I ain't seen you elected officials out there with them. making sure that nothing goes south in Baton Rouge. It's been folks in this community who give a damn, not just when it's comfortable, but every time. And 4 years ago, we came down here. Mr. Drake, they say you're a good man. Be a good man. Black folks say you're a good man. White folks say you're a good man. Your legacy is attached to tonight, brother. Your legacy. Now, let me say to the black members of the board, it's the most solidarity I've seen out of y'all in forever. Let's keep it that. Let's stand on this moving forward. Because we don't need to apologize for Connie, Evelyn. She showed you who she was when she was sitting next to you while you were talking shop. You don't need another example. Now, when do we as Baton Rouge stop being in 1856? If you want to name the building after somebody, how about PBS Pitchback, the first black governor of the state of Louisiana, when he was governor during Reconstruction? You want another name? Oscar Dunn, who was the lieutenant governor of the state of Louisiana in the 1860s, that gave the right for Darius Landis and Don Collins and Evelyn Wade Jackson and Jamel Howard to get here. You want to name it after somebody from Reconstruction? Name it after the people who fought for Appalachian Facility. If you want to name it after somebody, honor the right people, the people who are on the right side of history. But it's your ancestor that the school is named after. So you're holding on to your heritage. But we built this joint for free. And we've done begging you to do what's right.
Thank you, sir.
You bitch.
Woo! Ho.
Ooh, that is the best thing I've seen.
That just gave me joy. Thank you, Alex. I have
Yes, it just
a read, baby.
it just make me feel so much joy.
Yes, it really does.
I don't even know what to say about it. He was concise. He was clear. He knew them people by name. He probably know their kids' names.
Yeah, that man knows his history. Okay.
I've been looking at his video. He's been there in their asses with their foot on his necks for years.
Yep.
So that just, he didn't stutter. He didn't miss him. It brought me joy. I just wanted to share that.
That was the power.
And it just like to inspire everyone to like, you know what the fuck you talking about. Like, you know when shit don't look right. You know when something is up. Like, and that's just, like, stop that shit in its tracks. The other thing it's twofold. Like, yes, read them into the ground, all that kind of stuff. No concern for feelings. But like the part that like the balance of not letting that like Connie's terribleness, because all of us, y'all probably work with Connie's. I write text, all these, they out here. So, like, not letting the terribleness, Connie's kindness, like, distract you from being black and brilliant and doing the things that you on this earth supposed to be doing. So that's the balance. Like, call a swamp donkey, period. But do what you need to do to thrive. Huh?
The white people are always going to be whiting.
Yes. So know that. And with that said, he did that and he went on about his business. He don't got to be camped outside her house and all kind of do it and move on. You know what I'm saying? So I just wanted to share that. It brought me so much joy. A lot of us are often like, and are happy to be here, all this stuff kind of like, no, this is not the time for that. And that's how you engage and let people know, like, I see you.
Yeah. Right. Yep.
I see you.
Connie.
So, where can we find more of you and what you all have coming up? Or is there something else that you would like to share, promote, and if so, what, and where can we find you?
The bells.
Yeah, we have some things coming up.
We have a lot of stuff coming up.
Check out for some stuff. So first of all, you can find us on Instagram at tribe_co-creates. We also be on Facebook and Twitter at Tribe Co-Create BX. We do have some community conversations coming up that we will be announcing very shortly.
And some community joy coming up as well.
Some joy. Oh, yes. Oh, I almost forgot about that.
Don't.
And we're also collaborating with a Reiki practitioner to offer free Reiki to folks. Yeah. I won't be doing it even though I'm learning about it, but a master
soon.
Reiki practitioner. An elder, because we need some elderly love.
Yes.
We'll be offering free Reiki to folks through us. Follow our page for more information, learn more about us, learn how to support us. And look out for all that we have to offer.
Yes. Thank you both for coming. through. I just shared your information in the chat on your Instagram. If you could also share when you get the chance your whatever kind of links you want people to know, you can go ahead and drop them in the chat, and so people can on Facebook, so people can come back to it and go watch it. And yes, thank you both for your vulnerability, your time, sharing with me your therapy experience, your therapy dating experiences, and giving a little insight on like what you do with Tribe Co-Create and what you do to get some joy. So shout out to you both, and love you both, and thank you so much for being here.
Love you.
Stay black and free, y'all.
Have a great night. Stay black.
Free.
Bye.
So I just wanted to close out by sharing a couple resources and things that other folks are offering to help folks get joy. One thing that, and I'm going to share all of these in the comments and also on thealexanderhardy.com tomorrow. Beam, Black Emotional and Mental Wellness Collective by Yolo Keeley and his cohorts has a resource for coping strategies, not just in this time, but in general, centering techniques, mindfulness techniques. And I'm going to be dropping that link in the comments as well. Wednesday, he's hosting an event called Heart Space, a virtual space for Black liberation and healing, which is a space to vent, connect, meditate, sing, and share. It just gets your feelings out, and it's a virtual space that they host. And I'll paste that link as well. And the next day, on Thursday, they're hosting Fatherhood, Mental Health, and Masculinity Town Hall, which is a virtual discussion on the challenges, joys, and opportunities of fatherhood and parenthood. And it's also open to not just, it's not a hotep, cis, nothing. It's for, queer and the gay ass and homo dads too. So, because all dads matter. So those links will both be at beam.community/events, and I'll share those in the comments below. And lastly, Unique Jones Gibson of Because of Them We Can has created a toolkit, a free toolkit for parents who have children's ages 5 to 11 who want to teach them about the Black Wall Street and what happened there, and just kind of about some activity sheets for Black empowerment, Black history, to show some of the greatness and brilliance of Black folks. And she's done it in a really engaging way, broken down by age groups, with different activities for people who are homeschooling or people who are not, just want to share something awesome with their kids. And actually not even just Black kids, but any kids, because everyone needs to know about those things that happen in Black Wall Street. So I will share those. She's created a Google folder with great resources there. And I'll drop that underneath this chat at the end of it as well. And yeah, that's kind of what I got going on for tonight. So yes, look on thealexanderhardy.com and thecolorboard.com tomorrow. All of the recent events that I've done, I did a spotlight series with Breakthrough US 2 weeks ago on a Friday on the 5th, and that is on both thealexanderhardy.com and thecolorboard.com, as is the panel I participated in, which was a reading of The Death of Cliff Huxtable and a panel discussion on respectability politics and Black Lives Matter at the end of May, and that is on both sites as well, as is a recent discussion I had for Kitchen Talks Live with the Chef Advocate about food and feelings. All of those are on both websites on thealexanderhardy.com. So check those out. Look out for all the links and resources mentioned below this chat and on thealexanderhardy.com tomorrow. Thank you to Angelica and Bianca of Tribe Co-Create for coming through and sharing your experiences and being vulnerable and talking about feelings and all kind of wonderful stuff and the work that you're doing with me. And yeah, I look forward to connecting with you soon. I'll be back next week with a very, very, very special guest. And I hope you're being well. I hope you're moisturized and minding your business and hydrated and all that good stuff. And holla. Thank you for watching. This is Alex Hardy, and this has been Mental Health Monday. Peace out.